Right then, welcome back. We're going to be doing more ETS multiplayer. Try and do a few more jobs for today. It's been a while since I've done this. I need to get my truck books moving along a little bit on it. It's only me. If you want to tag along, you're more than welcome to. Got to be on server 3, starting in Vilnius, or however you pronounce it. Heading down towards Italy. Got my coffee at the ready, which is what I need. I'm not going to be hanging around. I'm going to be making a move because I haven't got a lot of time. So, find a job along the way if you can. If you want to join in, that is. Right then. Dashboard. Today be nice. Get this swapped. So we're going to be doing... Where's my ETS? Okay, so we got the job. Better move this along, otherwise we'll probably end up being late, if not late already. Right, so we just make a move. I got my coffee. I think I may have my base shaker set way off where it needs to be. If that starts making too much noise, I'll have to jump off and adjust it. I haven't really set it up for this game. So it's going to be relatively quiet. Yeah, I think that's really going to get rather loud, that bass shaker. It's vibrating so much. I might have to put some rubber under there to try and calm down the feel. If the noise gets any louder, it's going to come across on the mic. Yeah, I think I might stop and adjust that. Won't take me 2 ticks. Let me tab out there. Bass shaker. I think that should be it. Would be good to get my chat window back, wouldn't it? Hopefully that'll work. Calmed it down quite a bit. Let's get the old dash centered. With a little luck, we might run across the coast of Italy, so we might get some good views along the way, hopefully. Servers are pretty quiet today. There's about, what, 800 people on server 3, which is what I'm on. I doubt we'll see too many people because they all tend to be over France way. Don't forget, chat is open. You're more than welcome to say hello. That's not linked in. That's weird. Why is that not working? Because it's on American Truck Simulator, not Euro. Put it on the right one, shall we? There we go. There we are. And put it on the right screen. We've got, oh god, we've got 179 litres in the tank. I need fuel, and we need to repair the truck at some point as well. That's got 10% damage. Alright, okay, so, first order then is have a look for the next fuel stop. Because I didn't think of doing that. There's one coming up, we'll take it. So, fill her up, hopefully get about 1,000 litres in. 9, 9, 9, 9. Lovely. Well, I'm purely guessing. I'm hoping there's nothing around this way. Hey Ofki, how you doing? Not showing off, that's purely guessing and hoping I don't crash. Hey Equalizer, how you doing? It's doing good, I got my coffee, I got a truck. Doing a bit of trucking. Like I said, if anybody wants to tag along, they're more than welcome to. We're on multiplayer server 3 ETS. Probably be dead because it was dead when I came on. It was only like 800 people. I'll just do a couple of jobs, have a little bit of a break from the old dirt rally. I'll probably come back to that tomorrow. Don't know if you saw the video yesterday with regards to Dirt Rally. Managed to finish the Clubman Championship. We didn't win because I messed up by drowning the car. Came in third though overall. I'm in two minds whether to do the whole championship again to see if I can get first. But what I may do is go on to the Pro Series, give that a crack, and then, depending how I fare, nip back to the Clubman and redo it. We got a 27-hour job to Italy. Nice. Oh, I know the feeling with getting tired. Oh my god, it's shockingly bad. I've been yawning my head off all day. I would go to bed early, but I know I won't sleep. So it's like, what's the point? I might as well just stay up and do something. I don't think I need to adjust. Yeah, I've decided in the game to fix the physics so the truck isn't bouncing up and down in the game, and I think, yeah, it's still wobbling, so next time I stop I'll have a look at fixing the physics in multiplayer, because I didn't do that. I'd prefer it with it all fixed because of the triple screens. Well, on multiplayer, unless you're in a busy area, you may be lucky to see anybody, so... Oh, there we are. It looks like there's some guys on the map, or nearby. They're not on the map with me at the moment, but... We're about 800 meters and closing by the looks of it. There's at least 4 other players at the moment. Hopefully he's not motoring too much. I did press my horn, but his horn was way louder than mine. That's the first truck I've seen since I've started, other than my own, that is. And this is the thing I find with multiplayer, so unless, you know, there's a big group of you, you know, or a couple of you coming on and driving, it can be quite a lonely game otherwise, because you don't get to see many people otherwise. But not a problem. You have to give it a crack and give it a go. We've got, what, 1,088 miles to cover. Eek. Might be just doing the one job the way this is going. 26 hours, and we got 930 litres in the tank. So we've probably got enough to get there, assuming I don't go off-road somewhere. You can use Pro Mods with ETS too. If you're on about things like achievements, most achievements will work. There'll be the odd one that won't work because Pro Mods does change some destinations and things, so you may be better off taking Pro Mods off to do a few certainly a few, for me, I've had to take pro mods off and do the achievements that were 10 times easier to do. Whether it's possible to do them all in pro mods, I don't know. Can you use pro mods in multiplayer? As far as I'm aware, no, because they don't allow mods. There are a few mods entering into multiplayer, but nothing major, because at the end of the day, they need to keep the lag down, not increase it. And the more they allow, the more it'll probably increase the lag, so I can't see them doing too much. Trouble. Oh, naughty. That's why it's always a good idea to check your map. I'm stopping you. Pull out, mate. And that's the reason why you don't do multiplayer, because people just... Some are good and they, you know, obey the rules of the roads. Others, they just think they own the road. And I can't get into the reporting stuff, it's just not worth the hassle. Speeding offence? Whatever. Yeah, I know, it's, you know, they've changed multiplayer in a way where maybe they've tried to make it too easy in some respects, I don't know. But this is why we give it a go, you know? Dust on the screen. I'm not so bothered with the time issue though, I must admit. I do like the fact that, you know, you've got more daylight hours and you can change things to suit yourself. Not for the multiplayer, I believe. I'll have to double check. We're still earning. I still want to grow the company to a... Once I've got the company to a level where it's almost self-sustaining, then I won't worry, then I'll just splash out and buy a few of everything, you know? So I know I need to do up a few garages and get a few people working. But I'll get to a point where I'll get trailers then. I might actually just get a trailer. At least I've got something to use. I mean, it's not as if I haven't got the cash to do it, so... Maybe I'll look into that next time. Hey, Accuracy, how you doing? How are you getting on with your gaming? You've got everything sorted now, or...? If I'm starting out, I wouldn't bother with trailers for other people. I just get trucks for now, get them doing the jobs that are out there. There's no point in splashing up all your cash, you know, unless you've got plenty of cash to keep yourself going and be self-sustaining and things like that. Then yeah, I'll just go for trucks first. Get at least 5-6 garages going, all full up with drivers. Get them working and earning. Once they're pretty much, you know, 50% working, at capacity, you can pretty much then look at the likes of trailers and what have you, if you want to max them out. But I would do, say, a garage at a time.
I don't know that one.
Oh, look out, she's off again. Yeah, I find that if you're streaming and playing ETS, you're probably better off locking the frames to 60, or at least under 100. Because as you approach 100 frames per second, or FPS, I should say, or even up to 144 for your screens, problem is then you're taxing the GPU quite a lot. Yeah, it sounds about right. I've had the same experience. As long as it's working, that's the main thing, accuracy, because I know it's been a problem for a while. I mean, don't get me wrong, even with my CPU and stuff, it's still got the same issue, so I don't think it's a CPU issue. It's definitely GPU. But I think it's because if you try to run the game at 144, I think any game at 144 Hz is going to tax the CPU a hell of CPU. It's going to tax the GPU so much that it causes issues. And again, you're streaming at 60 frames, so there's no real benefit to the viewer on the other end. So 60 Hz is fine while you're streaming. Oop. It was me too busy reading chat. Alright, so having the trailers, as far as you can tell, you don't get any issues with them coming up back empty. Well, that's a good idea then. It might be worth looking into then. Oh, you know what? My Assetto Corsa, I've had a hell of a time with that. I played it a couple of weeks ago, and it worked. Jumping into tracks, doing this, that, and the other, absolutely fine. Anybody coming? Nope. We'll go through. Started it today though, and my Assetto Corsa, if I was using Content Manager, it was dumping back the desktop, and if I was loading Assetto Corsa directly from Steam, it was just going back to the main menu every time, no matter what combination of car or track I chose. So I spent most of the day uninstalling the whole of Assetto Corsa. It's only just finished reinstalling, and now I've got to grab all my cars and tracks and reinstall them. So that's about 60 gig of cars and a 30-40 gig worth of tracks. So yeah, not fun. I'm not quite sure what's causing that. I don't know if that was the Sol mod that I put on just needing an update, and I don't know. But I've put it back to basic now, so we'll check it tomorrow and see whether that's back working. It's just a pain though, because I didn't change anything, you know. I need to try and get back into iRacing a bit. I haven't touched iRacing for a while. I got myself my D-Class licenses for the Oval Series and the Mazda Series, so I need to try and progress further in that if I can. But since Dirt Rally's come out, I've kind of put everything on the back burner. And I knew that would happen because I enjoyed Dirt Rally a lot. It's like I want to get into a Assetto Corsa competition as well, but it is so difficult. If I put the AI on 90%, I can't keep up. They are so fast. That game is seriously hard. Even if I drop it down, it's still... I find it's still a struggle to keep up. Maybe it's the car I'm using because I'm using the Nissan. Maybe I need to find a good setup for it, but... Yeah, all my hard drives in this PC are SSDs. There's no mechanical hard drives in this one. I'm thinking about picking up another SSD, to be honest, because I'm slowly running out of room. So another 1 terabyte wouldn't go amiss. But I'm waiting for the drives. The drives are slowly dropping down in price. As soon as a good quality drive drops to about the £100 mark, I'll pick up another one. Yeah, but you know, I'm still seeing budget 1 terabyte drives coming in at around £130, £120. If I was going to go for an SSD now, it'll probably be an NVMe drive. But I'm budgeting around £110 or £100 if I can for 1 terabyte. But I want a decent one, so a Samsung ideally, maybe a Western Digital. But I'm in no rush, I've still got room, so I'm just playing the waiting game for now, and as soon as one comes down cheap enough, I'll be like, yeah, okay, now's the time to buy. You know, the last time I purchased a 1 terabyte SSD, it was £200, so if I can get one at half the price, I'll be happy. Memory's come down quite a bit. I've seen 3200 RAM 16 gig for, I think there was an offer for Kingston RAM on Amazon about within the last week for at least £99, which is a crazy price. I think it's probably gone back up in price now, but RAM is a really good deal at the moment. For me, the hard drives I've still probably got another 300-400 gig on most drives, but it's, you know, add a couple of games and that'll soon get eaten up, and especially with putting all the mods back on for a set of Corsa, that'll eat up a fair amount of storage. But yeah, you know, I don't think there's going to be many games I'll be buying anytime soon, so I can't see the storage capacity changing that much. And if push comes to shove, I've got the other PC upstairs with some hard drive space, and I've got... What have I got? I've got at least 8 terabytes worth of drives upstairs free, but that's configured on the other PC, to be honest. You just cut across the road, mate. Jeez. No, that's the beauty of Assetto Corsa. With Assetto Corsa, there are shed loads of mods that you can download. So, I've got the base game with all the downloadable content for the game itself, but the majority of cars and tracks I've actually downloaded from the race department website free of charge. They're modded by, you know, users out there who enjoy the game, so they've made their own cars. Some of them are really, really good. So, you know, if you've got Assetto Corsa on PC and you want to increase your car collection, if you want to add extra tracks, I'd recommend going to that website and downloading, you know, the cars and tracks. You know, you got there's drift cars, there's drift tracks, there's plenty of cars out there made free that are very good, capable cars that you can use. That's increased my collection. I haven't even touched the surface when it comes to those. And there's new cars being done all the time by modders. Same with the tracks. Updating tracks. They're even taking old tracks and improving on them. The modding community out there is really good, you know? Why is he slowing down? Yeah, you can do single player, you can do online racing with Assetto Corsa. They've got the SRS system, which is linked to Assetto Corsa. Cheers, buddy. It's good to know that the stream is looking A-okay. It's had some moments, but like you, I was noticing stuttering with ETS. And I was trying to run it at 100 Hz. You know, it was working for me, but the stream just was suffering because of it. So like you, I've decided I'll notch it back down. Stick with 60 because everything is 10 times smoother that way. Which is a shame, but it's, at the end of the day, it's for you guys. You know, if it looks smooth for you guys, then it's 10 times better. Influencer, how you doing? Let's change the lights a bit, shall we? Make it a little bit more interesting in the old background. Where's my coffee? Did I finish my coffee? Oh, really? Uh-oh. Slow it down, don't slow down. Keep it going. Otherwise that guy will catch up. Excuse me. What are we on? We are 19 hours remaining. 836 miles with 778 in the tank. Thanks very much for the comment. It's nice to know that people do appreciate the setup because, you know, there's a lot of time has gone into getting it to this point. It's not perfect and, you know, may not be for everybody. Is it required? Not really. But, you know, let's say this is my hobby. This is where I get my enjoyment from. You know, others might want to go out, kick a football around. Others may want to go out in real life and drive a real car. You know, and just, you know, race a car or something. I certainly can't afford to go to that kind of level, but this gives me the opportunity to, you know, race cars online and trucks and God knows what. So why not enjoy it? Assetto Corsa is a really good game because there's a big mod community behind it. You know, you can either do normal racing, and there's plenty of, you know, real tracks out there you can race on with Assetto Corsa. You can get into the drifting community that's there. You know, I've been practicing. I mean, I've tried a little bit of drifting. I'm nowhere near amazing at drifting at all. I'm absolutely terrible. But I've learned a little bit just by practicing on Assetto Corsa and drifting, you know. It's where I started learning to do my left foot braking. I need to get into more of my heel toe technique because I don't have one basically. But if I go to learn anything like that, I usually do it on Assetto Corsa because it's so flexible with what you can do and how you can set up. You know, whether you want to do hot laps, practices, races, you know, it's all there for you to do. There'll be a mod or something that will help you do it. It supports triple screens properly. Its frame rate is usually pretty good. You know, it's not a huge taxing game on your PC. I use it mainly for practicing. I should use it more than I do, to be honest. It's good force feedback in it as well, so you know, if you're looking for a game where you can have a good force feedback, absolutely Assetto Corsa is one that people recommend. And the price, it's been out for so long, it's nice and cheap, which is a win-win. Whoa, it's getting a bit bouncy around there. It's relatively quiet again. For race games, I would probably recommend for anybody getting into racing, Project Cars and Assetto Corsa. Project Cars is a nice game. Some people don't like the handling or the force feedback in it. Personally, I don't find it a problem. I do like going in there and having a race against the AI now and again. The online isn't so big. That's kind of dwindled off now because there's they are talking about releasing a new version, but it'll be some time away anyway. But for a game to pick up, do a AI race, absolutely. It's a good game as well. And again, it's another one that works with triple screens properly. So most of the good race games out there do. Some of them you have to work at doing. Unfortunately, the likes of Dirt Rally, still disappointed that Dirt Rally and Dirt 2 don't have proper triple screen support, but what can you do? I think Codemasters will probably be the very last ones to say, hey, we're going to do triple screen. Don't forget, guys, if you join the stream, leave a like if you can. It does help me out very much, and thank you if you do. Don't forget, get involved. You can jump in, join the game. It is multiplayer online server 3, or you can jump in the chat, say hi. I don't bite. Boom, boom. Bounce, bounce. Thinking about it, there's probably a sale coming up soon anyway. Oh, by the way, if anybody is interested in ATS, if you're thinking about buying it, I know it's discounted currently 75% off in CD keys. If you do think about buying it, use the CD key link below in my description, because that will help me out as well. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out. But don't worry if you don't, it's not a problem. But have a look there, because I believe they got the game and the DLC discounted. I think the base game's 75% off, and the rest of it is anywhere between 40 to 75% depending on the DLC. So it's a pretty good deal actually, because I don't think you'll get that much better during a major sale. I think it works out the base game is £3 odd. I was having a quick look in CD keys to see if there's any deals on anything that I fancied, but yeah, there wasn't much I could see. But that did stand out because I thought that's a pretty good deal. Okay, cruise control back on. We're on 689 litres, 706 miles to go. We're catching up with the old mileage. And we're going straight on, so we need to get into the right lane. Ooh, there we are, 694 miles, so yeah, we'll probably be fine. We'll get there on the remaining tank. So no need to fill up, we'll just travel as far as we can now on this tank. And fill up at the destination, I would have thought. Maybe when I'm doing these long hauls, maybe I should get some music playing in the background. Make it a bit more interesting for you guys, especially when it's a quiet one like this. Ah, there's plenty of places you can get copyright-free music. That's not a problem, that's easy enough. I wouldn't be doing just any old thing, it would be copyright-free. So again, there wouldn't be amazing music, because I'm certainly not going to subscribe to something. It'll just be probably copyright-free on YouTube, you can do that. Done it before. It's not so bad when there's either interaction on chat or there's a group of people in the game itself, because it makes it a much more interesting view. But when it's a quiet run like this, when there's nothing on the roads at all, it doesn't help too much when it comes to the stream. Right, try not to go too fast around here. We don't want to crash and burn. We've got 15 hours in game, supposedly. Oh, look at that for timing. That's good to hear, accuracy. I think the backlighting certainly helps with the screen. The overhead light helps with lighting up the wheel and the setup around me, so you can see that better. And it's an LED light, which means it doesn't give me huge amounts of heat, which is nice because it does get warm doing some gaming. And obviously the GoPro, you know, that's mounted above me, and that gives a very good picture quality, so I definitely wouldn't be without the GoPro. And you don't have to go crazy with the GoPro. You don't have to go for the latest GoPro, because, you know, what's the point in having a 4K GoPro if you're not streaming in 4K? So as long as your GoPro can do 1080p, 60 frames a second, you should be good to go. Yeah, this one's a GoPro Hero 5 Black. So it outputs 60 Hz, 1080p. It can do up to 4K 30, but I don't need that, so I didn't bother going for the latest one. It's pointless me spending 300 odd quid now on a GoPro when I can buy this for like sub £200. You know, I can buy everything together for 300 quid, including like a cam link, whereas the GoPro 7 would cost you over £300 to start. So I don't use it for anything else. If you said to me, you know what, I want a GoPro, it's for streaming and it's for me to take out and do, you know, video camera work on a bike, or I'm going to go skiing with it or in the water with it, yeah, you know what, get yourself a Hero 7 Black. You know, it's going to be the latest, greatest, do everything you want. But if it's purely for streaming, it's pointless. Yeah, the camera does make a huge difference. Having a quality camera, that's probably one of the best mods I've done for my stream, is get a quality camera, go through a cam link, and again, 100 quid for a cam link, get that configured, get the lighting configured correctly, and I haven't splashed out a fortune on the lighting. I've just gone for a light panel that allows me to adjust the temperature range. Only cost me like 30 quid for the light panel. You know, you can buy the Elgato one, but it's like 200 quid for an LED light panel, and it's like, I'm not spending 200 quid when I can do exactly the same. You know, if I was going to record myself in different scenarios using a given light source, I would need a light source that I can configure daily, quickly and easy. So maybe something like investing in the Elgato Streamlight, whatever they call it, would be worthwhile. But for a light that's fixed above you, once it's set, you don't need to touch again other than turn it on and off. This thing, 30 quid, job done. Oh, there we are. If you've already got that, you can use that then. I never bothered with you know, the HD60s or anything like that, so I never had anything, so I just plugged it in with a cam link, and it works great. The good thing about the cam link is the PC sees the camera that you plug in as like a webcam, so it just makes it much more easier to configure and get up and running with any software, because not everything will support, say, the HD60 and what have you. But if you've already got it, you may as well use it. Quality-wise, I don't think there's a difference in quality between a cam link and the HD60, but as you say, you've got it, so it's pointless, you know, unless you're thinking, oh, I can sell it, make more money on it by selling it and changing. It's not really an upgrade, is it? And changing over to a cam link, and you've got no plans to use the HD60, whatever you've got, then maybe swap that way, but I don't think it's a necessity. You may as well keep what you've got and just add the camera. even have to splash out on a Hero 5 Black. I mean, you can probably get the same kind of quality on a Hero 4. I think even a Hero 5 might be similar. Oh, hold on, what happened there? My dashboard closed off. Huge screen? What do you mean, sorry? Oh god, did you see that go then? Jesus. This is speed limit of 50 around here and he is weaving all over the shop. I think I'm going to slow down for this one. Nah, they're not huge. They're 34-inch. The same size of a 27-inch 16:9, so... yeah, it's not that much bigger. Oh, what is this guy doing? I would overtake, but it is a risk. God, blimey. Please tell me he's driving with keyboard, because if that was with a wheel, that was shocking. This ping is good. That's absolutely terrible. Mind you, chances are if you drive by a mine truck in this game, it's probably all over the shop. Who knows with the lag and things like that. Probably makes it look 10 times worse than what it actually is. Alright, let's get the old cruise control back on, see if I can open a gap. Down to 11 hours. Fuel-wise, 515 miles, 578 litres in the tank. We've got plenty. Shouldn't be an issue. Amazon. It's, what do they call it? A DLSR Lite. So you got to buy the Lite panel. It's only like, oh my god, probably like a 5 to 6 inch panel. It's got like a pure white and then a warm white LED integrated, and then you can choose on the back of it. Then you can choose whether you want all white or you want the warm light or mix. And you can have a percentage. Out of 100%, you can choose how much of a percentage of each light, so you can kind of tone the light to what you need. And then it's just got a power switch on the back. You need to buy the power supply separately. There's two power supplies you can go for. There's the cheap one, which is like 10 quid, and there's the more expensive one at 20. But I went for the better one because I thought, well, I want to make sure it's running at its optimum brightness levels. Hey Black Fox, how you doing? No, it's not USB, it's powered from the mains, this one. I wouldn't bother with a USB one. You know, I want something that I can toggle on and off when I see fit. You know, if I turn this light off now, give it a few moments to update. You can see how much of a difference the overhead light makes without it. This room is pitch black, and I've still got a light on behind me, but because it's such a low powered light, it doesn't do anything for me. And I have to get it back on. Dual PC setup, huh? So how are you doing that one then? Are you getting yourself a new PC, or are you Customizing an older PC? What are you doing? And then how are you doing it? Are you using NDI tools, or are you streaming directly using the other PC because it's in the same room? He is on a rush. Ooh, that was a big lag spike then. What was that? Quad core? What CPU? Oh my god, what is this guy doing? Glad I've got a barrier between me and him. He's terrible. NDI tools is really good, isn't it? I like the NDI tools. At least then it takes the workload off your PC, so your PC can run at maximum frames, well, or as close to it. It takes like 3-4% CPU usage and a tiny little bit of graphics usage. It's better than, you know, using a PC for streaming, because that takes way more. You're probably looking at a good 20%. Do you mean if you're trying to stream and game on the same machine you get stutter? I mean, you tend to find then that's because the PC's just doing too much. I mean, I tried streaming with my old quad core. Oh, it couldn't do it at all. And that was just trying to record a webcam only and my voice. Gave up with that in the end. I thought, yeah, whatever. Ah, it's not a problem, Black Fox. It's you know, that's one of the reasons why I bought the i9 9900K. I thought, you know what, I'll buy the i9, I'll have one machine does it all. You know what, it still can't do it all. You know, if I want to play my games how I want, which is using the 144 Hertz, graphics quality as high as possible, you know, and stream and game at the same time, even that struggles. So in a way, me upgrading to the 9900 was probably a little bit of a mistake. I was umming and ahhing about going to a dual PC setup. I probably should have stuck with the 8700K, or maybe changed to a 9700K and gone dual PC rather than jumping up to a 99, because really the 9900K hasn't given me the benefit I was after. However, the dual PC setup though does give me way more flexibility and allows me to give greater quality when streaming. So for anybody who wants to get into streaming, rather than go for one all-out rig to do it all, probably are better off going for your dual setup. Yep, and that's it. That's the best way. You know, I learned the hard way with my setup, so I'm glad to pass that information on to anybody else. You know, it's all very well over having an all-singing, all-dancing PC, but it's not going to do everything when it comes to streaming, unfortunately, especially if you want to push the quality. Now, yes, I can stream on one PC, but the quality output of the stream would take a knock in comparison to a dual PC setup. And yes, overall cost will be slightly more with a dual PC setup in the long run, but then it gives me the flexibility of having this rig for my driving, and I've still got a quality rig upstairs where I can do other games on that one instead. And I used to run two PCs before, and I ended up selling one. I stripped it down, sold the parts, and the money I had from selling those parts I put back into buying the AMD system that I'm running upstairs. Didn't cost me that much in the end. Glad I did it, and it's helped me out in the streaming in the long run. I used to have the Q66. It's 2.4 gigahertz. Depending on the motherboard, you could probably overclock that to 3.4. I used to run mine at 3.4, day in, day out, 24/7. It just needs a good quality cooler on it, and as long as your motherboard is up to the job, overclock it, because it's a great chip. That was one of the best chips to overclock with. It was, you know, it's a first edition quad-core CPU. But the overclocking on it was awesome. You should be able to do 3.4 on that easy. Certainly 3.2. I used to do 3.4 24/7 with mine. In the end I sold it. I still sold it and made 100 quid on that. That's great CPU. I loved it. That's the CPU I probably owned the longest. It was this year I sold it. I bought it when it was released back in the day, and it was running on a gigabyte motherboard, which I stripped this year and sold on eBay. And as I said, I sold the CPU, got £100 back on that. Sold the motherboard, got £80 on that, I think it was. The RAM in there was about 50 quid. So I made a bit of money back, you know, and I invested in a new PC. Yeah, the only thing to watch out with overclocking on those is just the heat, but that's the same with any overclocking. So if you've got a standard Intel CPU cooler on it, I wouldn't touch it, leave it as it is. But if you're happy to upgrade to a quality cooler, we're talking something substantial, I would recommend, if you want an air cooler, look at the Noctura coolers, or a liquid AIO. So you're probably spending a good, what, 80 to 100 minimum. But you'll have a machine then that you can overclock and you don't have to worry about the heat so much. A cracking little chip for the day, you know. I know there's plenty of other people still running a Q66. I used to use mine for doing Plex. It was my Plex server for a long time. You were playing around with you. Open! Jesus, that was close. Yeah, that was a little close, that one. It's supposed to be 20 mile an hour go through and it pops up, but That was going up way too slow, and I was probably rolling in about 22 mile an hour, so a little bit too fast. So what are we on? We've got 316 miles to go, 454 litres in the tank. Fuel's fine, and we've got, what, another 7 hours and 14 minutes. With 13 damage, I don't know where the extra 3 damage came from. I think one was the barrier, wasn't it? Oops. Yep, still heading to Italy. This is the first job. It was a 29-hour job, so yeah. In ETS it takes a little bit longer than expected, especially when you're cruising at 55 instead of at like 85 or something. I can test the system anytime, but you're more than welcome to. Maybe I'll look, I was thinking actually, maybe I'll look to do multiplayer on a Tuesday. That seems to be a good day for me, to be honest, because Monday I don't get a lot of time. And I tend to do Dirt Rally more over the weekends where I have a bit more time. So I could always do Tuesday as a multiplayer. I may do Tuesday as a permanent either multiplayer or an ETS or ATS stream of some form. But if we get the interest, maybe I'll make it a permanent multiplayer. So that's what I've got penciled in my head at the moment. Something I'm having to think about. Because at the moment my stream is so all over the place that it's kind of awkward for people to join in if you can't do a regular kind of slot. So maybe I'll do a fixed slot for that. Oh, there we are. See, Tuesday's working out even better already. So, if I decide to do that, I'll have a think. Hello. We'll have a think over the weekend. No, I know. I didn't expect anybody to jump onto the post in Discord because it was a last-minute decision by myself. But I thought the least I can do is put it there, so if anybody does fancy that, they can see it, they can pop in, so it's not a problem. This is why I need to start looking into doing, say, a fixed time and make it a regular thing, so at least then if people are watching and they want to join in, they can. So yeah, I think that's more than likely going to be a go, but I'll have a think about it between now and Saturday. And I'll probably put it in the announcements in Discord. So don't forget, guys, there is a Discord channel. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to. It's a little channel, but it is growing. Slowly, slowly. Yep, it's usually server 3 and Euro 3. What am I on about? So yeah, server 3. I mean, unless there's a reason to jump into another server. Tend not to like going into the one with cars, because that's the one where you normally find people are just idiots. And I can't be doing with that. Can't be dealing with it. I, I think we'll start with a fixed one for now. Tuesday seems pretty good. At least that way then we'll make it consistent. We'll start with a definite Tuesday ETS or an ATS multiplayer. More than likely going to be ETS to begin with, because I think there's more people with ETS. We can always look to maybe alternate depending on if there's a good number of people with ATS. $220 miles to go, 395 in the tank, and 5 hours on the old timer. Oh, I hate these darn things. Multipass. Oh, that was close. I thought I was going to hit that then. Hello Zach, how you doing? Good to see you again. It was pretty close, even I was like, duck! We're not far off now, it's Ancona in Italy. So we're what? 4 hours away? About another 200 miles to drive. That's the one. With my welly whopper on the back. Yeah, thereabouts, I would have thought. And my 14% damage on my truck. Why is it going up? What did I hit? How much is Eurotruck? If you get it on sale, you can probably pick it up £3–4. I know ATS is on sale at CD Keys. That's down to £3.75 for the base game, and then the add-ons are around £3–4 extra per add-on. Have a look on there, see if ETS is on sale at the moment as well, because if it is, it'll probably be down to a similar price of £3–4. So cdkeys.com. There's a link in my description to CD Keys if you wish to use that. You don't have to. It's just there to help you find the site. That's on sale in Steam as well, is it? There we are. Pick it up in Steam then. Either that or wait for the main sale. There'll be a main sale in Steam, I think. Is it next month? Can you get it on Amazon? As far as I'm aware, I don't think so, but don't quote me on it. I've never looked. Oh, don't worry about the CD. You know, at the end of the day, you don't have to go through my CD Keys link. And if people want to use it, that's fine. Happy days. It helps me out, but there's no pressure. There's no requirement, so I'm not worried about it. You know, I get a little bit of a kickback off it, but it's a very small amount, so it's not something that's going to change my life anytime soon, so it's not a problem. I think we're on this one. We go the wrong way now. I'll have a check Steam first. If Steam's got it and it's a good price, then pick it up on Steam. I would recommend CD keys. I've used it plenty of times. I never had an issue with them. They've been great. And I always give the reference now to the experience I recently had with my Dirt order. I placed an order for Dirt Rally, the base game. Changed my mind and decided, you know what, I'd rather go for the full version. So I messaged them and said, you know what, I've changed my mind. Can I cancel the order because I want to order the full version? They got back to me within 15 minutes. They had cancelled it already and just said, sure, go ahead, order if you want. And I placed the order and had the game. So communication was swift. There was no hassle doing it. And every game purchase I've had from them goes onto my Steam account. And I've never had an issue with them. Never had a problem with any keys. So yeah, so far so good. Happily recommend them all day long. I'm just going to swerve around there because sometimes you end up crashing into something. It's coming down 120 miles, slowly but surely. Yeah, I don't think Amazon have everything. Personally, I would look elsewhere, because you may not get the best deal on Amazon. I've got to admit, for PC, it's very rare. The only game I ever bought recently, I think it was Doom. When Doom was released, it had one of the better prices there. But then I regret buying it from there because I think a week later it was down even further then after the game was released. But you live and learn. Which reminds me, I've got Doom VR. I've never got around to finishing it. I've got to get back into that and finish that game. So tell me, anybody watching, you see this light down here, this flashing blue light? Do you find it a distraction on the streams? Now, for me playing the game, I kind of like having the light because it helps me know what's going on with my bass shakers, whether they're working or whether there's any feedback. However, if you're finding it an annoyance to have while you're watching the stream, let me know because I'll stick a bit of black tape over it and hide it if needs be. Just thought I'd ask for your opinion though. I used to play a game called, I'm sure it was Wings of Prey, on an old game. I wonder if that's the new version of it. Or Wings of something, anyway, I'm sure it's Prey. Rings a bell. As long as it's not distracting to you guys. I can in the stream when I monitor it, I can see that it's there. It's not as bright as what it is here because the camera doesn't pick it up too much. Euro Truck Simulator 2 Gold, I think that's just a particular version of the game. Unless there's a gold version that does something completely different. I'm not aware though. What's the difference? Is there a difference then? If there is a difference, I'm not aware of one. I just use the Steam version. Oh, okay. So it was just basically ETS with Going East bundled with it straight away. Oh, okay. But technically there's no difference. It doesn't give you anything different to the Steam version once you've updated it, yeah? Ah, there we are then. Otherwise I'd be going, Steam, what are you doing? Why have I got the Duff version? I didn't think there would be though. No, I've got to admit, Steam pretty much have it stitched up, but I know there's plenty of other developers now. Well, not developers, but yeah, developers. You know, Epic and Origin and EA and all of that. They all want to get their own little corner of the market. That's the same when you think about it with the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime. You've now got Disney launching their stream service. I think that one's going to be a tough one to swallow for the video companies. You know, when Disney release their catalogue of films and keep it for themselves, oof, it's gonna change the market, or possibly anyway. Yeah, that's true. If you've got a Steam account, you're probably just better off getting it on Steam in the long run. Yeah, but that's the same for anybody when you think about it. I mean, when you think about it, what Disney have a lot of control. I mean, they've bought a lot of production companies recently. I mean, look at what they've done with the likes of Star Wars is under their wing now. They've got all the Disney back catalogue from how many years? You know, and there's plenty of, I think they've got Marvel as well under them as well and stuff. I can't remember now, but they've got such a catalogue of films they've got access to. They could easily just turn around and say, you know what, we're not releasing any of this to anybody else, and it's going onto our platform, which will charge, I don't know, £10 a month or something. As soon as they do that, then, you know, even the cable companies, the likes of Netflix, which is why I think Netflix is getting big into making their own content to give them a catalogue. But if they get that right, they could do a lot of damage. Oh, there we are, just around the corner from it. Right, where are we? Just around the corner. We're going up here. That was weird. He's in my spot. Oop, I think I messed up there. Because he's there, it's putting me off actually. We were late because, yeah, I started that way late. I think that was held in my job list for I don't know how long. 43,000. That was brilliant. Right. Have a look at job market. Let's do a quick job, shall we? Oh, for God's sake. Does this game ever work? What was that one? Petrol? No. We might do that one. That is 17 hour. How much time have we got? Oh, I think we can do that. Let's add another one to the list, shall we? We'll take that one in. Assuming we don't have to travel too far to get it. Ah, it doesn't want to go in. Okay, we're gonna have to take a run hit. Can I go this way? I'm hoping I can. Otherwise they've just blocked everybody. Right, 261 litres in the tank. We've got 740 miles to go. We need to get fuel. We might stop off at the repair centre. So we're going to go this way because there is a repair centre around the corner. So we'll just patch ourselves up, get that 14% taken off. Ooh, not too fast. Black Fox, what have you done with regards to, I know you were talking about getting a wheel. Did you get yourself sorted out with a wheel, or are you still planning on it? Oh, wrong one. Are you off, are you? Alright. Ugh. It's not going in gear. No problem. Well, I hope your testing goes well. Let's get this sorted. I'm sure it'll be fine. Arriba. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Let's get this job done. Well, if you can pick one up second hand in good condition, or if you're willing to splash the cash, I mean, at the end of the day, I would buy it on a sale so you're not losing out too much. If you don't like the wheel, you'll probably be able to sell it on quite easy. I know I did when I sold mine. It was gone within a week of me putting it on advertising. And I didn't lose too much, but then I bought it at a good price to begin with, so you know, it worked out okay for me that way. It's one of those where if you've never tried playing with a wheel, you're not going to know whether you prefer it or not. But I gotta admit, I love this game with a wheel, and I find it hard going back to control. I mean, yes, I can use a controller or I could use a keyboard, but I enjoy it more with a wheel these days. I'll leave it there. We'll let it struggle a bit. So the truck is tip-top condition, that's back to normal. We need to look for fuel now, so we've only got 241 litres in the tank, so we've got to get at least one full tank and we'll get there no problem, but keep an eye out for fuel, I guess. Let's have a look at the old map. There is fuel on the way, so we should make that easy enough. Well, yeah, because remember, especially within ETS, you've got two control lists. So you can still assign steering left and right to keyboard as well as having steering controls. Or even to a games controller, if you really wanted to. So, yeah, I don't see why not. I've never actually tried it, but the facility's there, so I don't see why you can't. Hey, she can drive a car, can't she? I'm sure she can use a wheel too. You know, as with anything new, you know, you may feel a little bit intimidated thinking, oh, so controlling it with a wheel might be different, but you know, it's no different to parking a car at the end of the day. And if you can park the truck using a keyboard, you can do it with a wheel. Oh yeah. Well, you know, if you don't want to break the bank, I would stick with something like a G29. You know, it'll come with shifter, it'll come with pedals, you'll have the wheel. You know, it'll do everything, and it costs you the least out there. You know, it's not going to break the bank, and if you enjoy it, well, you could say, well, you could buy that, and then you can pass that on to the wife, and if she enjoys it, you can upgrade your wheel then. So, you know, you could look at it that way. Buy one for testing, and if you both enjoy it, then you can always buy an upgraded one. Or buy the same and have his and hers. have to make a little name tag and put them in the middle of the wheel. Listen to the doctor. Are you sitting comfortably? Listen closely. I will say this only once, and you will do as you're told. That's going to go down like a lead balloon, I can tell you. What you need to do is have a camera behind the both of you when you're streaming, so we can all watch you two playing at the same time. You can have like a camera in the corner of the screen and the gameplay there from one or the other or both. Or have like gameplay on a room cam. Yeah, I mean, that's good that you've got them set up, but it'll get pretty... Oh, crikey, yeah. Did I just drive past my fuel? I've been too busy yapping. I'm going to go straight on and take a risk here. I mean, you don't technically need two cameras, but... Oh, crap. I got to check my fuel out. Oh, I drove past the fuel. I was yapping too much. Oh, that's going to hurt me. Oh dear. And I could have turned off by there as well. Oh no. Alright, 141 miles in the tank. 141 litres. I'll have to see what I can do. We're going to be running on fumes. People just standing there looking at each other's feet. Not a good sign. Ah, it's my own fault. I should have paid attention to the map. I knew it was coming up. I've got involved in talking. Hey DJ, how you doing? Well, that wasn't the right button, was it? There we are. I'm doing great. What's the matter with the PC then? What's it doing for it to break down, as you say? Seems rather strange. where's the map? I'm also running out of fuel, but there's another fuel stop coming up. I'll try not to miss that one. There it is on the map, and I've got, yeah, 112, we're fine. I wanted to go that way, didn't I? Oh, you total idiot. Fill her up. Ooh. You bought it from a company at Christmas. So the motherboard bricked 2 weeks ago, had to start afresh. So have you contacted the company you bought it from? If they've had one chance at repairing it, you could argue that there's a fault. Yeah. It's a tricky one because if it's a motherboard, the only thing you can really do is update the BIOS and see if that helps. Or if it's got the latest BIOS, you could roll it back one, assuming it's a BIOS issue. If it's got 2 sticks of RAM or more than 1 stick of RAM, pull all the sticks and try 1 stick of RAM at a time just to make sure it's not a RAM issue. But ultimately, if they've already had one attempt to fix it and it's less than 6 months old, I'd be saying, you know what, I'm not happy, I want a refund and I'll order another one. Because it could just have an inherent problem which you may not get to the bottom of it. That's always a worry. The good thing is, well, depending on where you're from, you know, you've got more rights, shall we say, when you've just purchased a product. Because usually after 6 months you've got to prove it had a fault to begin with, but because it's within 6 months, yeah, you know, it's harder for them to argue that. They made you pay for a new motherboard for a new PC. No. Who did you buy that from? Why should you pay for a new motherboard? Did you pay full price, or did they say pay the difference to have a better motherboard? There's no way I would have paid any extra. I'm shocked that they've asked you to pay for a motherboard for a computer that's less than a year old. I wouldn't even have done that. I would say, no, you fix this, or you give me my money back and I'll go elsewhere. They shouldn't have done that. See, this is why I build PCs. Because I can get to diagnose myself when I find the problem. Okay, fair enough. If you made a modification to the original spec, then yeah. Oh, hold on. Because I updated it. What do you mean by updated it? What did you do to update it? Do you mean you updated the BIOS? Or did you physically update the motherboard? They can't charge you for a new motherboard because you updated the BIOS. The BIOS is a serviceable part unless they've locked out the BIOS, which they could do. They could have set a password to lock you out. But they didn't. And I bet you there's nowhere in the documents that says you can't update the BIOS. I would go back and argue that. I think you have grounds to argue that one. Because unless they've got written documentation that says you're not allowed to do this, that and the other, the BIOS is accessible by any customer. You know, you go out and buy a motherboard, you're entitled to add a new BIOS if you want it. It's part of the way the motherboard is. They update the motherboard to make it more compatible. I think they're taking you for a ride there, sorry, and you know, that's the way it's coming across, but without talking to them directly myself, I wouldn't be happy with what they're advising you there and charging you. Yeah. I mean, I bought a laptop once, and they tried to argue that I couldn't upgrade the RAM. In the end, it upgraded the RAM. I never had a problem with it, but I told them straight. I said, no, it's a serviceable part. The whole point is it's designed for me to be able to open the back and upgrade. Yeah, well, just because the BIOS went bad, the motherboard would have been replaced by the manufacturer anyway, free of charge, because it would have been under warranty with the manufacturer. So they can't charge you for a motherboard that they can claim free of charge with the manufacturer. Because that means they're charging you, say, I don't know, £80 to £100 for a new motherboard, and they go back to the manufacturer and get it. It's not like they're buying another one that's costing them money. They'll just get a replacement. So the fact that they charged you for a user serviceable part, and you know, BIOSes can go, and you can fix BIOSes just with replacing the BIOS chip if needs be. But under the first year of warranty, it's covered by the manufacturer anyway. So in other words, they say, well, if you want it fixed now, you've got to pay for a new one. And then what do? They take the motherboard out, they send it back, and they put it into the next PC. It's your call, but there's something not right there. I mean, they could have swapped out the motherboard for you and claimed back for you anyway, but they're forcing you to make the payment. That sounds really underhanded to me. Okay, who was this purchased from? Is it like a local company or is it a big company? Whoa. Yes, it's a small local. It's tricky because you're dealing with a small company. You may be better off. You could always have a word with, you know, consumer rights. I don't think they should have charged you. You know, if it was something like PC World, you know, then not exactly brilliant when it comes to servicing, but if I were in your shoes during that situation, I'd be, no, if you've got stock of the motherboard, you fit the new motherboard and you wait for the part to come back and you deal with it. You know, at the end of the day, see, a new product like that, they get at least one chance to fix it. And if it means you have to wait a reasonable amount of time, a week to 2 weeks wouldn't be a lot to ask, to be honest. So they're entitled to that. If it was, you know, oh, we'll take it in for a repair, and they say it's a week, but it's away for a month and there's no sign of it, yeah, you could argue, look, you're taking too long to repair this now. You either fix it now, or you give me a new machine, or you give me my money back. I'm not quite sure where you stand in that kind of situation, because you wanted the machine there and then, though. It doesn't seem right, though. Yeah, exactly. You know, if they haven't got much of a warranty if you buy a new PC, but all servicing costs you have to pay the labour for, you might as well have just gone out and bought all the parts yourself and done it yourself then, because you know, you could have taken it to them then and said, well, look, I built this, it's not working right, put it right. It would have cost you the same amount. So, it's disappointing when you buy something and, you know, the company then isn't looking after you the way they should. I wouldn't know whether you can get ETS2 outside of buying it through Steam or somewhere. You'd have to look into that yourself, I'm afraid. Thing is, I know that, I mean, I've got an MSI motherboard in one of my PCs, and I know that if that goes faulty within the first year, maybe 2 years, I can't remember the warranty period, but certainly the first year, if it goes faulty, I can contact MSI and they will pick up the motherboard and they'll repair it or replace it. If that was faulty within the first month, I would be going back to the place I purchased it from and say, look, it's gone faulty, I want a new one swapped out. I wouldn't say it would do. I mean, you know, if your PC is crashing, then it can do damage to the hard drive. That's the worst case scenario. It depends on what's causing it. It's either the motherboard is bad, it's got a bad BIOS. It's a possibility it's a CPU error, but then it would show CPU error signs. It could be bad RAM. The problem is with PCs, unless you've got a spare PC you can plug parts into, you're not going to really know unless you've got it on a test bench and you've got the tools to do the job. But you can do simple testing, so, you know, a single stick of RAM, you know, and does the PC run fine, then you're narrowing down whether it's a RAM error. There's RAM tests you can run programs on. Same with the CPU, you can stress test the CPU, make sure it's not a heat-based issue. So the question is then, what do they have different? I mean, are you plugging your PC directly into the wall socket, or is it running through an extension? Because some extension cords may not be up to scratch. I mean, it's very rare you'll get an issue like that. But it could be a power issue. So if you haven't got a clean power supply. But it's very rare you get a power supply issue. Well, the hard drive not being contactable could mean that it could be the cable. So the hard drive cable to the motherboard may have been loose, not plugged in properly, could have been a faulty lead. Assuming, you know, it's a mechanical hard drive. If it's an NVMe drive that plugs directly into the motherboard, again, you know, was it inserted correctly? If it's Windows 10, when you get a blue screen of death, you normally get one of those little symbols in the corner of the blue screen, and you can take a photo with your camera, and you can scan it basically, and it'll then take you to the Windows web page, and it'll tell you what the fault is if it can identify it, and it may tell you what the cause was. So it may narrow it down to a graphics or a memory issue or a CPU issue. I don't think you did that, because I'm guessing you would have mentioned it, but if it happens again, grab your phone, take a photo of it, and do the scan, and it will give you an updated information as to what the error was at that particular time. There should be logs as well on Windows somewhere, I can't remember where though, can never remember that part. I passed the test, but they said it wasn't responding to commands. Well, that to me means the PC is dead. And it needs to be a new PC. It wouldn't well, and it's got an inherent problem. I'd be like, well, look, you know, you've tested it, you can see it's got an issue. then replace the PC with a new one, because I've spent my money and I'm not using a PC that I expected to be using. I mean, how long do they have it on testing now? Because if they've had it a week, I'd give them another week at most and say, well, look, you got 7 days. If it's not fixed, then I want my money back. But then I play hardball, I do. I don't give anybody any time. I give them the bare minimum. Well, 24 hours, they haven't had it long, so... I mean, could they do thorough testing in 24 hours? Yeah. If that's the only machine they had on, working on all day, they could do. And I still say to anybody who's umming and ahhing over a PC, please consider building your own. It's not rocket science. There isn't anything you need to be worried of when building a PC. There's plenty of videos that will talk you through the process of how to put a PC together if you need to. You know, when I built my first PC, I bought the parts, you know, did a load of reading on what went with what, and I just went through the manual when I got it and read myself and taught myself how to build it. Didn't have any videos at that time to point me in the right directions. I literally just taught myself, and since then I haven't looked back. Ever since, I've always built my own PCs. PCs are so plug and play, man. Literally is just a matter of removing the covers, putting a couple of screws in to hold the motherboard in, pushing the parts into place, mounting bits and bobs. It's so easy. Now, kids can certainly do it these days. You know, and yeah, you've always got the horror stories of electric static, you know, conductivity and parts not working because you've touched them, this, that and the other. That's very rare in this day and age. Yes, it can happen, but as long as you're grounding yourself to the case, you don't have to take major steps to try and get rid of any of that. You know, I've left stuff laying on the carpet and God knows what in the past, you know, and I haven't worn anything special. You know, and it's been fine. We've got 8 hours remaining, 326 miles to go currently. 1% damage. Where the devil did that come from? Hopefully it's just wear and tear. Oh, by the way, if you bought the new motherboard, what did they do with the old motherboard? Because if you've bought a new motherboard and they've taken the other one out and kept the other motherboard, I would ask for it back. I would send it back to MSI myself. I would get MSI to replace it, and then I would put it on eBay and sell it. Don't let them keep it. Don't let it put you off PC gaming at all, because PC gaming, when it works, will be brilliant for you. But please tell me that the new motherboard you bought, they gave you the old motherboard back. Because I bet you any money, if you were to contact MSI, you know, you might be able to argue a fix of the motherboard that was in there free. And then if you can get that done free, or replaced free of charge, put it on eBay, make your money back. Because if they've kept it, I can guarantee you, they'll ship it off and get it fixed. And personally, even if I couldn't get it fixed myself, I'd keep it out of spite. Terrible. But there's no way I'm letting anybody like that, you know, walk all over me when it comes to the parts. You know, you paid for those parts, technically they're yours. So You know, if you're paying for new parts, they should either give you a partial refund to keep the parts, or they should give you the parts back. Just like if you took a car in to get its brakes done, you bought the brakes. You know, if you want to ask for your old parts back, you're entitled to. Right, yeah, but that means you've paid for a new board full price, they've pocketed that, you paid for the original board that they send off, they sell second hand, and they keep the money? They're winning. Yeah, I know, but still, for them to say they're going to send it off, get it fixed, and sell it second hand, you could sell it second hand, and that money could be back in your pocket. Unless they're trying to say, oh, you know what, this motherboard that we'll replace it with is worth 150 quid, but we'll give it for you £100 because we're swapping it, and we'll keep the other motherboard. Okay, you could argue that, but I don't think they've mentioned that to you, and it still seems totally wrong that they're technically getting a motherboard back from MSI, because I bet you any money MSI won't be fixing it. They'll probably just replace it as a manufacturer warranty replacement, which could be sold as new. So you're saying he has discounted the board? Oh, got to change lane again. That was crap. So how much was the new board and what was the discount? What? Labour of 115. I'm in the wrong job. I'm going to open up my own PC place and I'm going to charge £100 priority labour. I'll be minted. There's no way. That's you know what? You could service a car for less than that. Especially for the time they probably spent on it. You know, they're charging you what? £115 for labour, and they call it a priority labour, so you're fixed as soon as possible, which means what? They fixed it within 24 hours, which probably means they whipped out the motherboard, put a new one in there, and plug it all back together and off you go. Which, to be honest, replacing the motherboard, you could probably do in about 30 minutes. That's a heck of a lot of money to be charging for 30 minutes work. Oh my god. I could do that all day long, I'd be earning a fortune. Yeah. At the end of the day, let's not go too deep into it. You know, it's your PC, it's your money. I understand your points, but please, you know, don't take any more mess from them. I think you've given them plenty of chances. If it's not fixed this time, you know, dig your heels in hard and stand your ground and say, you know what, I need a refund on this, I'm not happy. Well, that's it. See, they're putting their little twist on it. As soon as you say something like as soon as possible, they think, well, you know, you want this done straight away? Fine, I'll charge you the work to do it. You know, unless you stood there and say, well, you know, how much is it for a standard service? You know, you've got to ask the questions. Otherwise, they'll walk all over you. That's the same with any service industry. You know, if they've got a range of prices that they charge, you need to query what applies to you. Well, let's put it this way. If it comes back fixed and you're happy, then fine. But if it comes back and you're having further problems, just don't take any more messing. You know, question everything they're charging you and make them give them you a reason as to why they're charging you. And is there a... I mean, I remember once I went to a garage, and this always makes me laugh. They said, oh, you know what, you've got a problem with the power steering rack on your car, you need to replace the rack. And I was like, okay, how much is this going to cost me? Okay, well, you know, we can do the rack for you. It's going to cost you £1,000 to replace. This was years ago, mind. And I was like, £1,000? I says, is that the only deal? Yes, the only deal. I said, you know what? I can drive the car. It's not a major issue at the moment. They said, no, you can drive it, but it will need to be replaced. I said, okay. So I went off. And a week later, they phoned me. And they said, oh, the steering rack, have you decided what you want to do? And I said, oh, no, I'm still looking. And lo and behold, they went, oh, we can do the steering rack for £500. And I was like, how can you do it for £500? And they said, oh, we can get a reconditioned unit. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that you could get a reconditioned unit at the time and making me, you know, go off and do my own homework about it? And from that day on then, I've always been, you know what, always do your homework. Don't believe everything that these shops say, because you know what, they play on the customer's naivety that they don't know and don't understand. But the more you know, the better prepared you are. Nah, that's just silly. I mean, if you repair a system for a customer, you need time to stress test. They should have said, you know what, we'll fix it for you quickly, but it's going to take a minimum 24 hours. You know, we need to be able to replace the parts, and we need to then test the PC thoroughly to make sure that it is up to spec and is up to do the job. You know, any reputable company would take those steps. You know, so whether that would be 24, 48 hours, you know, they'll make up their own minds as to what's required. You know, but just to say, oh no, we'll fix it, but you can have it back, and hope for the best, doesn't bode well, does it? Well, have you done a search? Do a Google search online for the company name and see if there's other people who are having posted. There will be information. If you've got a company out there that's been around for a while and they've been doing things underhanded, there will be other people who have had the same issues or similar issues who will post about it online. Do a search, you know, company name and service problems or whatever, and you know, if this is the first time, you probably won't find anything else, but if it's been multiple times, you probably will find other people talking about it somewhere. There's plenty of, you know, local shop review sites and things like that. I mean, personally, I hope it is sorted for you and you have no more worries, but it's not good, especially when it's your first time, you know, venturing into the PC side of it. It kind of puts you off then because you feel daunted by it all. But don't be. You know, if you ever decide, you know what, I'm going to build my own, it is much easier than you think it is. Well, 4.7 out of 5, you know, isn't bad. It's probably a lot worse out there, that's for sure. What's the overall reviews like, though? The feedback that you're getting, though, is it a positive sounding, or, you know, go to the negative reviews first and see what they're mentioning. At the end of the day, you know, just because there's 5-star ratings, I always go by the negative reviews and how people have handled the problem. Because if the company isn't handling those problems properly, you know, then you know there's an inherent problem. You know, nothing's going to be 100% perfect all the time. I'd expect every company out there to have a negative review somewhere, but it's how the company have dealt with that person that counts more than anything. You know, it's customer service at the end of the day. And they're either giving customer service or they're, you know, treating them like dirt. Beepity beep beep beep. We're getting there, 4 hours to go. 655 litres on board with 190 miles to go. Yeah, see, straight away you've got people complaining about the parts issue. Well, unfortunately you're in a position where you're living and learning. Sometimes you're better off going with the bigger companies. You know, it's different, you know, when you're dealing with something like a car, it's a big item, you know there's going to be expense with certain brands. With PCs, it can be a similar thing, but it's on a completely different scale. But I'd rather deal with a bigger national company than with a smaller independent company, unless you know for sure that that company has very good customer service. Hey Dan, how you doing? That's alright, I'm an old bugger, I'm 45, but I'm still learning as well, you know? Yeah, PC World, absolutely, but there's other companies, you know, I'm not saying that you would go for someone like PC World. I mean, you know, there's other companies like there's overclockers.co.uk, they do PC builds. There's Novatech, they do PC builds. You know, there's other companies, big companies out there. You could buy direct from Dell if you really wanted to, not that I would recommend, because Dell, Alienware, you know, again, you may be paying through the nose there, but, you know, if I was going to say to anybody, okay, look, if you're not going to build your own PC, then I would recommend somebody like overclockers.co.uk. They do builds, and, you know, that's what they specialize in. Again, they're not always the cheapest, but their customer services, I've dealt with them for a good few years now. They've always been pretty good. I haven't got any major complaints there at all. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's your first PC, you know, you don't know the market, you don't know who to go to, so you've got to pick and choose. So unless unless you talk to somebody experienced who knows, you know, look at this, look at that, do this, do that, you've got to start somewhere. Try scam.com. Don't you mean scan? I wouldn't recommend scam.com. That sounds really dodgy. Scan is alright. I haven't used Scan that much for years. Their prices can be competitive, but I prefer overclockers. eBuyer can be okay. I haven't used them as much as I used to. I think he tapped in the... He should have hit the N instead of the M. But that was class. Nice one, Dan. You got a good time in there, buddy. You gotta love it. I think Dan got scammed with a keyboard because he hit the wrong key. Yeah, the good thing with Amazon is, you know what, they might not, they have, majority of the time they have good pricing. The best part about Amazon is if you tend to have an issue with a product in the early days, they are really good at resolving the problems. You know, I've had a couple of issues replacing parts. It's like I ordered some parts on them, from them. They were yet to be shipped. And the following day they discounted the parts. And I was like, hold on a minute, you've just discounted the parts. You haven't even shipped them yet. I said, can you do me a refund on the difference? Or I'm going to, you know, I'll cancel the order and I'll reorder. And they were like, oh, you know what, we're not going to do the difference. We don't do that anymore. And I was like, really? It's news to me. I said, fair enough. I said, if that's the way I play it, I said, I'll cancel the order. So they cancelled the order, and I was like, right, when do I get my money back so I can make the order? Because it was, you know, a good couple of £100 worth of stuff. And they were like, oh, you have to wait for the order to complete cancelling and then the money to be refunded 5 days back onto the card. I said, no. I said, you refund the money now. And I said, and they were like, no, you can't do that. I was like, okay, just put me through to your manager, and put me straight through to the manager, had a quick word, explained the situation. They were like, no problem, we'll get that done for you now. So, you know, sometimes you have to do a little bit of the legwork to get things done. But 9 times out of 10, when I've done refunds with Amazon, it's an instant refund. Or it's done promptly, and there's not much messing around. You don't have to argue too much. You know, unless they've got doubts that it could be damaged, then, you know, they'll investigate further. But most of the time, if it's a genuine claim, they've got no problems. So for certain things, certainly PC parts, I always check Amazon. If the price is the same as or better on Amazon, I'll order through Amazon because I've got Prime there as well, so I get quick deliveries. Other times though, I get free deliveries through overclockers because I've been with them for years. So like the monitors I bought from overclockers, I bought them and I had them next day delivery free of charge, and I couldn't get the price better anywhere else. Well, I mean, I only go to eBay for either really small things, we're talking 5-10 quid a pop, or if it's something that I can only get second hand. But eBay, the eBay buyer protection is really good. And to be honest, it works usually more on the buyer's preference than the seller's. So, you know, if you buy an item and you're not happy with the item, it's not as described, you can pretty much argue that and get your money back straight away. But it's got to be, again, a genuine claim. You know, if you're just trying to pass you know, a dodgy deal on it, then, you know, you're going to get bit by it. But when it comes to big items, you know, unless it's a really good price, I probably wouldn't risk it on eBay. 9 times out of 10, you know, if it's just a couple of quid difference, I'd rather buy it on Amazon or somewhere else. Yeah, that's the problem with PayPal. I don't, and you know, I've looked into that, and with PayPal, I think it's anywhere up to 6 months. People can still make a claim, and it's beyond me. You know, especially something like a digital code. If somebody's had a digital code and they've used that code, you can't get that back. As far as I'm concerned, unless the customer can send back the item unused and in the same condition as they received it, yeah, they're entitled to a full refund. But if they can't do that, they shouldn't be entitled to it at all. There are a few things, yeah, I wouldn't be happy with PayPal, which is why I don't do a lot of shopping. As I say, most of my shopping with eBay, PayPal tends to be small stuff. So, you know, if it is, say, 10 quid I spent and somebody wants to do a silly claim and claims it back, I'm not arguing over hundreds of pounds then. I'm not out of pocket by hundreds of pounds. It's very small. I'll reserve my bigger purchases for, you know, a proper online store, somewhere like Amazon, John Lewis maybe, for TVs and things like that. Get an R5 2600, 16 gig of RAM and a mini ATX motherboard. Sounds good to me. Yeah. Well, you can always restrict things like that. You can always put in there that you're not going to deal with people below, say, 10 and things like that. I mean, I'm same to you, you know, I've got like, what, I think it's nearing 600 transactions all at 100%. You know, there's plenty of genuine people on there. Unfortunately, you're always going to find there's going to be one who wants to spoil the party, you know. I don't know how you can side with somebody who's got a digital code that works. I mean, what's his argument? You know, and he can't send that code back if he's used it. So how can they authorize a refund on an item that you can't even request back? No, I know. You know, that's the thing. Granted, I have used that to good effect with a certain item. When they said that, you know, I contacted a seller about an item I purchased. And I said, look, this is the second or third time this item's gone faulty and I've informed you about it. And I said, I'm not happy with the item. I said, you know, I'd like it repaired, or I'd like to upgrade to a better version of it. And at the time, the seller actually turned around and said, oh, well, I stopped selling them because they were faulty. And I said to him, well, I'm shocked to hear that you're actually telling me, you know, less than 6 months down the line that you've been selling items that are inherently faulty. And he carried on, and we were getting to an agreement when all of a sudden he backed out of it altogether. At which point then I had enough and I just said, you know, I'm not dealing with it anymore, I'm going straight to PayPal. Went to PayPal, explained the situation, and they sided with me and refunded the full money, and all I had to do was send the product back to the guy, which I did. So he had his product back, I had my money back, that was me happy. You know, at the end of the day, there are genuine reasons for doing it. Yeah, there's things like that as well. There are other people, I mean, you know, it's like I sold my graphics card, my old 1080 Ti on there. That's, you know, 500 quid's worth of graphics card that somebody could have done something with. But this is why I take a photo of everything. But then if somebody is saying that, you've got shipping details. You know where it's been shipped to. If you can prove it's their property and they've signed for it, they got no grounds to send on. They still should be sending that product back to you. The difference with something like a code is they can't ship that code back to you. It's sent to them digitally in the form of an email. And if you can show that that code's been used, then surely you should have some protection as well. I don't know, it's a weird little thing that's there, and it is a bit dodgy, I do admit. Ooh, we've gone in too tight. You just need to have a large drink and you'll be fine. Well, hold on, let me scroll back up because I know Dan said something. An AMD RX 550 4GB GPU. The only thing I would probably suggest looking at, Dan, I know you're going for a mini ATX motherboard. Is it going into a mini ATX case? The only thing I would be worried about would be heat, especially if you end up overclocking the 2600 chip. The CPU cooler from AMD, if you ended up using that one, is okay. It does make the CPU run a little bit warmer than you would normally expect. But having an ATX case, a mini ATX case, sorry, would limit the size of the CPU cooler you would install if you decide to go aftermarket. But if you're getting a mini ATX board to go into a larger case, then, you know, it shouldn't really be a problem. But just bear that in mind, that's all. Unless you are getting something, you know, a specialized cooler to fit into a case. Anyway, as it stands, I'm going to leave it there because we've done our 2 jobs and it's getting to a point where I actually want to finish early tonight so I can get some decent sleep. So thank you for watching. Let me just complete that. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like. If you wish to subscribe and join in the further action, you're more than welcome to. There is a Discord channel, you can join that as well. Looking to get that growing as well, and I just deleted the program. Oh, great. Let me get my Streamlabs open back up. Remote control. Oh, no. Seriously? Not settings. Remote control. No. This thing. There we are. We're back. Anyway, so we're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.